So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our special video of the week. And one of the most requested video from my YouTube post was talking about the mahadasha related to retrograde planets. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And just a reminder, like my Navamsha article is on my Vedic Astrology Academy website. And especially, I wrote this articles on pretty much all the courses so I can raise money to make the third movie, Walking with Saturn. And if you don't know, I've already made two movies, Interview with Rahu and Meeting Ketu. And you guys know I can film, I can direct, but it requires funds, it requires money. Because until you actually pay someone, you pay the right people to give their time, especially now, you don't get the right product, you don't get the good product. And because I've proven myself that I can make good movie, I don't want to sacrifice anything for this third movie because I have a really great script for Walking with Saturn. So I'm going to give myself a year, see what happens. If not, then of course I'm going to have to water down the script and just make something cheap with my own budget, because Meeting Ketu was, significant amount of it was actually through the students of Vedic Astrology Academy. This is why I uploaded the second version, thanking the students. So anyway, let's get back to the mahadasha. So whenever you see retrograde planets, retrograde is what? Vakri, right? They're walking backwards. And the one main thing you understand about retrograde and mahadasha is the regrets. Retrograde and regrets. That is what this will bring. So I'll give you an example. Let's say your Venus is retrograde in the birth chart. Okay. And if it's combust, then that would add on to this. But see, Venus is what? Venus is the significator of marriage, wife. It's marriage and spouse for both men and women, but especially represents the wife in a man's chart. It will also show, one's ability to attain luxuries in life, being diplomatic in life. So for example, if let's say you had Venus in Rohini, okay, in Taurus, a retrograde, what will happen is you will come across somebody that you will make a perfect connection with. Like you'll be like, this is the person I've been waiting for. Yet, that person is going to be very unconventional. What happens, especially with Venus and Rohini in Taurus, you may actually fall in love with a bartender. You'll fall in love with a bartender, but you will choose somebody who has an MBA and IT degree. And you will do that at that particular time. Venus' job being retrograde is to make you do that particular karma, because once you have done it in that Venus dasha, because only let's say if this is happening in Venus dasha. Okay, so we're talking about the dasha, because somebody may not have regret unless they run through that dasha. So the Venus dasha is running, you have this particular Venus, it's retrograde. You realize that, no, I need to be with this more educated person. They're very family oriented, and here, even though I have this great connection, I don't know if my family will respect this person. I don't know if, they can be at my status, right? But once you have married that person, that's when the regret starts. When you realize that, oh man, I could have been with that person. I could have adjusted. Why was I so stupid? That's when the regret comes in. But also what happens is the regret will make you perfect in your marriage. Having those regrets will make you value the marriage even more. And if Venus is only retrograde, not with the malefic, because in that case, then you may just want to walk back. Especially with Venus, let's say retrograde and combust. Okay? This person will be obsessed with sweets. They will eat sweets. They cannot control their indulgence of sweets. How can I say this? I know somebody, in my own life that has this particular position. They will always reject especially when Venus is retrograde and combust. Like with retrograde and combust Venus, you will see, it's not even like the thing goes backwards. They don't even want that particular thing. They don't have the value of it, the quantity of it. This is why, especially, you will see like combust retrograde Venus, they will not realize what this eating of sweets will do. They'll have that for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. Combust retrograde Venus, you will see this person, forget even like not able to have something. They don't even want clothes. They don't want new clothes. In their closet, you will see 2 or 3 shirts, pants, one dress or 2 dresses, and that's it. They will wear that over and over again until it's completely ripped. Especially like you will see this fire signs in the dasha of that planet. Like especially when the dasha runs or antra dasha runs, and you got to understand, each dasha is also coming into play in the sequence. In antra dasha, bhukti, paryantar dasha, sukshma dasha, prana dasha, but also then there is yogini dasha. In yogini dasha, you could be going through Venus yogini while you're also in your Saturn. So this is why we can see, that a planet might still be running in a certain dasha sequence. So in that period, you will see that this person, forget that they cannot buy a car. They don't want a car, and neither they can recognize which car is what. Like they may have, let's say, an issue with this Venus that, what is that car? And you tell them, no, that's a Toyota. That's a Mercedes. They may not recognize that. Because why? Because they don't value that thing. For them, the value then completely shifts to something else. Value will have a stronghold with the sun, the bright floodlight that is upon Venus. They will probably have much bigger ambitions towards just worrying about some new clothes and perfume or marrying somebody. For them, marriage then becomes this, pain, regret with pain. So this is how, combust and combust retrograde Venus, or combust retrograde planets dasha, that can become a whole new other subject, which I actually may cover. But see, each of these things have such negativity that even though they can be sounding as beautiful predictions, I don't want to impact someone, or at least not to an extreme extent. Some of it is fine. For example, you have Mercury retrograde in your birth chart, and his mahadasha comes in. Especially in Mercury retrograde, you will choose wrong profession or wrong position, and you will regret the place that you left related to your work. Mercury will also make you repay bills. You will lose a lot of your bills that come in. And you will see it'll be a constant thing where you will have to call and see how much you owe. You'll have to go and log into the account how much you owe. And specifically Mercury, will also make you regret the travels that you do. You're booking some place to go. Actually, you will notice this with both Mercury and Jupiter retrograde, is that whatever travel place that you have booked to go, what's going to happen is the day that you're trying to leave, you're going to regret, why did I book this particular trip? Especially with Mercury retrograde. You will see you may actually send the wrong date on wedding invitation if your wedding is happening in Mercury dasha. Some particular information on the actual wedding card will be wrong. But it's the regret becomes the main thing. So whenever Mercury dasha is running and your Mercury is retrograde, you want to make sure, and that can only be depending upon the position, the house of Mercury, the nakshatra of Mercury, if what you're about to choose is the right or no, not. So this is something, and there are many, many things. I'm actually watering this thing down a lot because there are certain malefic negative events that occur with each dasha when they're retrograde. And so I don't talk about most of the things. For example, if Mars is retrograde, you will see in his dasha, you'll have to go to many, many doctors to figure out what is happening with your health. You know, you will especially reject, 3 doctors before you, like for example, you yourself will regret choosing a particular doctor for your health concern. Then it's like, okay, no, reject. I'm going to go to this doctor. You're going to reject it, go to this doctor. And especially retrograde Mars dasha will also, and this is where you have to be very careful because you can make bad investment choices that you will regret. More than even Mercury, Mars can do that. And especially Mars retrograde dasha will make you regret the debts that you take. Because when Mars is retrograde and the dasha comes in, you'll be like, oh, let me take this loan for this particular business. Let me take this loan for this particular thing. But once you have gotten that, the regret comes in because you will see the effect of what it is doing. For example, Jupiter becomes retrograde. You will choose wrong gurus. You will start following the wrong people. And look at that. A dog just barked. Again, like my Mars in the 3rd house video, your dog barked. Said, pay attention to this particular thing, Jupiter being retrograde. Like when Jupiter is retrograde, you will get unconventional teachers, unconventional gurus. And then that regret comes into play. Why did I choose this guru? But the thing is this, what did I say with the Venus thing? It'll make you a perfect person if you just do exactly what you have chosen in that retrograde. Don't go back and try to now correct this. That's only with transits. See, only with transits, we see, well, you're going to start correcting a lot of things. Your Mercury is retrograde, you're going to go back and check this and check that. But when the dasha itself comes in, because why, the first question you have to ask, why is the dasha coming? Why is it when you were born, the sequence of the dasha came into play? It's because it is coming there so you can pay back your karma and perfect yourself through this karma. Because if you don't perfect yourself, you're coming back again to go through the sequence again. So when it's retrograde, it's going to frustrate you with the regrets that you will have in that dasha that you will make. And it's not going to be constant regret. It'll be that one particular thing, whether it's a 7-year-long Mars dasha or 20-year-long Venus dasha. It's only going to be that one major thing that you will regret. And the more you constantly regret that, the more suffering you will face. The moment you see that you are regretting it and you actually move yourself forward, that's when that actually starts going in your favor. Now, there are certain remedies too with this, but especially like, for example, Saturn. Renovations in the home that you do, you will regret, why did I do this? You will pick the wrong color. You will pick the wrong slab, on the kitchen sink. Why did I pick this? And especially you will see in Saturn retrograde dasha, many, many times you will have shoe breaks. Shoe will break. Shoe will get lost. Whenever these things happen, fix them right away. Don't ignore it. If a shoe break, either fix it or replace that shoe. Nowadays, shoes are so cheap. Whenever they break, we no longer take it to somebody to fix it. We just buy new shoes off of Amazon. And especially with retrograde Saturn, it will bring in those unnecessary expenses due to those mistakes that you made in those particular renovation. Retrograde Saturn will also bring about certain times. Now, again, it all depends on what age Saturn is also coming in. You know, I mean, you're not going to have in-laws when Saturn Dasha starts right away. And especially if you're born young, you're not going to be doing renovations in your home. But again, you know, I'm watering this down. And there's a reason behind I don't touch retrograde subject, you know. But here's the thing. Here's the remedy. And this is, again, I don't give out this remedy either because people think it's stupid sometimes. But again, it is what it is. So if, let's say, your Jupiter is retrograde, what you should do is go to a park. Not on the street, not on the sidewalk. Go to the park. On the day of Jupiter, which is Thursday, in the hora of Jupiter, which would be the 1st, the 8th, and the 16th hour of the day, during that hora, go to a park, walk 32 steps backwards. So walk 32 steps backwards. But the problem is this, you can't just do it 1 week. You need to do it consistently for 12 weeks. You can go once every week, but do it for 12 consistent weeks. Then if you have, let's say, Venus will require you to walk backwards 50 steps. Walk backwards 50 steps, 12 consecutive weeks. Mars, 32 steps. Mercury, 68 steps. Saturn, 72 steps backwards. And yeah, people probably think you're nuts. So, you know, this is why I think most people wouldn't want to do these type of remedies. Now, the logic, why are you walking backwards? If you ever see like a fan moving, have you ever tried like following the fan which is moving? Right? Once you do that, maybe for like 1 second, you can see that single blade of the fan. What happens when you move backwards? Okay, and once you move to that backward last step, then start walking forward. Because what's happening is you're catching up. You're walking backwards to catch up to the planet that is retrograde, whose dasha is operating. Once you are at that particular position, now when you walk forward, it's going to walk forward, and those mistakes and regrets that happens, they slow down. Because now you have walked backwards. And 12 is because of the 12 houses. Because the mahadasha of a planet, you know, will affect all the houses. Will affect all the houses. Why? Because that planet will be placed somewhere from the 1st house, somewhere from the 2nd house, somewhere from the 8th house, somewhere from the 12th house. So this is why 12 weeks on the day. So let's say moon, or I'm sorry, Mars, then, you know, Tuesday, hora of the Mars, Wednesday, Mercury, Thursday, Jupiter, Friday, Venus, Saturday, Sun, or Saturday, Saturn. Now, here's another thing. Can Sun and Venus be, or Sun and Moon be retrograde? Yes, they can be. If Sun and Moon are sitting with a planet which is retrograde and it's less than 5 degrees, you will see that significance related to Moon will also become retrograde. Significance related to Sun will also become retrograde. Or if the dispositor of Sun or Moon, the sign that they're sitting in, unless they're in Cancer and Leo, the dispositor of the sign that they're sitting in, if that planet is retrograde, Sun and Moon will also bring about those regrets of the retrograde. But that's a whole other subject. Okay, so the one thing you should definitely, you know, kind of work on is not to regret. You painted that wall that certain color, you built a swimming pool and it wasn't built on this end or built with the wrong shape. Fine, just be happy with it. because that regret is what triggers that particular impulse within the DNA. Because dasha is activating certain hormones, certain things, certain karmic passages in the body itself that makes you feel a certain way. Because there are people who would actually be homeless, living in a hut, and they're actually happy. You have a person making $10 million a year and they still feel unhappy because it's not enough. So you see how big difference it is between happiness. Now, why is this person feeling happy, having no money, being in the jungle? Because of the fact their particular internal hormones and DNA, which gets activated, certain sequence will become activated based on the dasha. That particular thing has been balanced. When it's not balanced, a person can have $10 million, they will feel that regret. They will feel that impulse to make more, and they're not happy with it. And it's again based on the karma, based on the actions that you've been taking from your past lives. Okay. So hopefully, this has given a little bit of information about retrograde and regrets. Because I mean, we can go through planets, through houses, just houses, and you will see how that regret comes into play. Okay. So anyway, guys, this is my analysis of this particular question. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And if you want to know about your particular planetary placements, my books, reports, consultations, check out the links here, including the link to my academy as well. Okay. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.